Hey everybody. Let me know in the comments if you can hear me okay, or give me a thumbs up or a like or something. Um, Thanks for joining. I don't I haven't done many of these YouTube lives, but something on my mind that I wanted to make a video about, and I thought instead of doing one of my videos where I write it and script it and shoot it and edit it and make it all slick, that I would sort of do a live thing and do it a little more you know a little more improv and just kind of talk about what's going on. Um, so first of all, thanks if you're tuning in live. Go ahead and pop in the chat there and say where you're from and just to say hello. And if you're watching this on the replay, put a comment in there and just say hi and where you're from, and love to hear from you. So I want to talk a little bit about how I got to where I am now with my business and bagpipelessons.com, and a little bit about my piping background and where we are today and where we're going to be going in the future. And I'm going to ask a little bit for your input and feedback to help me with some future planning. I'll tell you a little bit about my background. Is that I started piping as a kid in Oregon. I grew up in the suburbs of Portland, Oregon. We're not a piping family. No one in my family piped, but we were one of those families that we did a bunch of activities, sports and language classes and music and all kinds of stuff. And we found a great teacher who lived in our neighborhood, and his name was Colin McKenzie. And Colin sadly passed away just a few years ago, but I'm still very close with the McKenzie family. And he's probably the biggest influence on my life outside of, my family. My firstborn son is named Colin, so that kind of gives you an idea of the closeness. So started piping, taking lessons with Colin McKenzie, and really liked it, really got into it, started competing at our local piping society, started traveling up to British Columbia to play in some competitions up there, and sort of rising up the solo competition ranks, and really loving it, and really loving that community and the music and my relationship with my teacher. And bagpiping was just becoming a bigger and bigger role in my life. And I didn't know what I was going to do for my career, but I knew that I wanted bagpiping to be part of it. So at that point, there really wasn't a model for how you could be a professional bagpiper and support your family doing it, other than teaching piping at a school, which was pretty much in Scotland, or being in the Scottish military, which wasn't going to be an option for me. So I figured that, like all of my teachers and mentors and piping heroes, I would have a more conventional career as a day job, and then just pursue my piping as a very, very intense hobby, really serious hobby. So I figured that's what I would do. I ended up going to college here in the just south of Seattle. I live in Seattle now. And I specifically chose to move north from Oregon into Washington State to be closer to British Columbia and the piping scene up there. And at that point, I was going up there and competing and playing with a band up there, and then eventually moved over to play with the Simon Fraser University Pipe Band, one of the top pipe bands in the world. Graduated from college, did well in college, still didn't really know what I was going to do with my life. And I had a real job for a year. And over that year, I sort of was thinking about ways that I could, I was thinking about a way to create a vision for my life where I could do piping as a profession. And I didn't really have a way to do that. I didn't really have a path, I should say. But this was also in the mid to late 90s. And the internet was just starting to happen. I had no idea, and most people had no idea, where we were going to go with broadband and webcams and streaming, and certainly YouTube and all this stuff. But I had an idea that, I should get a website, and we'll see where that goes. So I started bagpipelessons.com in 1999, 25 years ago. Amazing. And that was the world's first website dedicated to providing information and guidance and resources for people who wanted to learn to play the bagpipes. So after college, moved up to Seattle, started teaching bagpipes. And that was pretty much my full-time job, and trying to build it into a full-time job, was teaching private lessons and working with bands here. A really big thing happened in 2003, which was Apple released their iSight webcam. And I was a Mac guy. I've always been a Mac guy. I'm looking at my Mac right now. iPhones and iPads weren't out yet. But Apple released this camera, and it was a high-quality webcam, and it would work with an application they had called iChat AV, audio video. So at that point, I had been studying with two very influential and great mentors in my life. That's Mike Cusack and Alistair Gillis. So Mike is the greatest American piper, and Mike is from Houston and still lives down there and has won all the gold medals in all the top competitions in Scotland and around the world, and a fantastic player and a great mentor and a great teacher for me. And I met Mike going to piping schools. So before online education, if you wanted to get exposure to some of the world's greatest pipers, you had to go to these camps, these weekend workshops, these week-long summer camps. And that's where I met Mike. And that's also where I met Alistair. And Alistair is no longer with us, tragically, but was a great mentor to me and was a great connection to, just some of the great light music playing that's going on in Scotland. So I had these two mentors, doing all my MSRs and my light music with Alistair, and doing my P-Brock with Mike. And Mike learned from Jimmy McIntosh, and that's part of that nickel brown tradition of P-Brock. So I was getting instruction from these guys at piping camps, and sometimes I was go to student, and later I would go and I would be teaching with them during the day. And then after we were done with our teaching, they were very generous, and I would get some private lessons in the afternoon and early evening. And then I was flying down to Houston a couple times a year to do like a 2 or 3 day intensive with Mike on my gold medal P-Brock tunes. So it was really a big deal when this webcam came out, and I knew that Mike was a Apple Macintosh user. So I bought 2 of these webcams, and I sent one to Mike. And this was in 2003. And we did the world's first ever online video-based bagpipe lesson that we know of. I think it has to be the first one, because those webcams just came out, and I got them right away, and I sent one to Mike. We did it right away. So that sort of a historic moment for me. And I think, for piping education, in that it proved that you could do online webcam-based lessons. This is way before Zoom, way before Skype. And right away, I put on my website, now offering interactive webcam-based lessons. And the idea was, doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can meet with your teacher. So I started teaching online lessons like that in 2003. And it was really a big change. Several years later, I was featured on the front page of the New York Times, very big newspaper, about the growth of online music lessons. And at that point, it was primarily Skype. And it was a fascinating article. It's very fun to be on the front page of the New York Times, have my picture on there. But what I didn't realize, I was just busy doing my thing and teaching and, running my business. And this just came out 2 weeks before my first son was born. So I was just kind of focused on family and piping and work. And what I didn't realize was this was a big trend globally, and it was really sort of, for me, learning that the idea of online music education wasn't just something that I was doing, but this was happening all around the world in different types of music. Students love it because you get access to great teachers, or a teacher that you connect with, and you're not stuck, just having a teacher that's local to you. And then teachers love it because you get access to so many more potential students. So really what we see now is not only in piping, but in all areas of education, really, online education is a huge, huge thing. So that's 2003. And then just kind of that was ticking along, teaching in person, private lessons here in Seattle, working with bands, traveling to teach workshops in piping schools, and then also teaching these one-on-one lessons on the webcam. So that was really great. And then another big sort of change for me was in 2010, 2011, I was really getting into doing yoga. And, people go through different sort of exercise phases in their life. And I got a friend who introduced me to yoga, and I was really getting into yoga. And one of the things that this yoga studio was doing was they did a 30-day challenge. And the idea is, can you come and do one of these classes every day for 30 days? And it's a challenge and it's fun. And I did it and I loved it. And I thought, wow, I wonder if I could do something like this for pipers. So that was the inspiration for me. I think it's 2010, 2011, put on the bagpipelessons.com 30-day piping challenge. Just put it out on my website. I had a blog at that point, put it on my email list. And what do you know? I don't know, over 100 people signed up. And then I thought, well, I got to figure this out. I got to create a course curriculum here. I wasn't sure how it was going to work, but basically did an online lesson or a challenge every day for 30 days. And sometimes it was me, like a PDF or an exercise or a tune or some kind of practice challenge. And it was really cool. And people really loved it. And it was very satisfying. I felt like this was a great use of the internet and email and this blog format to bring people together. And there's a lot of collaboration. And remember blogs, people would post comments and all that kind of stuff. So it was really, really cool. And then that was the inspiration for me to create the bagpipelessons.com studio. And that still exists today. And the studio is a lesson library with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lessons on basically every piping topic. Tunes, exercise technique, fingering expression, tuning, blowing, reeds, equipment, product demonstrations, reviews, all that kind of stuff. And I created that as a way to just have a single repository where I can just put all the cool stuff that I'm working on. If I have a new exercise or a new tune, if I'm teaching a workshop somewhere or teaching a seminar or a masterclass, I can video that or audio record it and put it on there. So it's sort of like a one-stop shop for me to just put all this great content in there. And then members can just sign up for a monthly or yearly membership and just get access to everything. So that was just ticking along great. And I always had this idea in the back of my mind that I wanted to do something extra for my members. And that kicked off in 2020, which was an unusual year, as you probably remember. So in 2020, I created a membership called the bagpipelessons.com Inner Circle. And the Inner Circle combines the membership in the studio. So you get access to the lesson library. And then you also get access to weekly live classes that I do on Zoom. So that was like a great thing that for bagpipelessons.com and for my students was to get on the Zoom bandwagon that we did in 2020. Everyone was getting on Zoom. And we're still doing that. I lost track of how many of these live classes we've done, but hundreds. And when you sign up for that Inner Circle membership, you get access to the lesson library with hundreds of lessons that was formerly called the studio. And you also get access to these weekly live classes. And all those live classes are recorded and you can go back. And I've heard from one of my students who's gone back from the very beginning and is watching every single one of these 1 hour Inner Circle live sessions in order. And he says it's kind of like watching a Netflix show where he's just binge watching it and gets to watch as the content and the lessons unfold and gets to know all the people that are in the Inner Circle. So that has been really, really cool. If you're interested in that, you can check it out at bagpipelessons.com/membership. And we have people from around the world, all different time zones and ages and ability levels. And it's been a really, really cool thing to have some community there. And the Inner Circle has really helped me fulfill my vision for bagpipelessons.com, which is to bring high quality information and inspiration and community to help people fulfill their dream to learn the pipes. So I really look forward to these weekly sessions. Many of our members don't tune in live. They watch them on the, they watch the recording just because the timing doesn't work for them. We have a private Facebook group, so you can watch it on the Facebook group. You can join live on Zoom, or then you can watch the recording later. So it's really, really cool. And one thing that I would like to do is to have an inner circle in-person gathering at some point. We got to figure out where that's going to be. We have people all over the world, the UK, Europe, almost every continent. I don't think Antarctica, but Australia, New Zealand, all across the US and Canada, Hawaii, Alaska. So it'd be fun to get us all together at some point. So that's kind of, these are some of the big sort of milestones for my business. I would say the other really big thing that's changed bagpipelessons.com in my life is the success of my products. So if you're on my email list or you've been watching some of the videos on the YouTube channel, I'm trying to let people know about some of these products that I use and some products that I've invented that have been very helpful to pipers. Probably the most famous one is the tone protector. So this is my humidity controlling reed cap. It's 84%, just where it's supposed to be. Fantastic. And I have a whole line of tone protector products that allow pipers to deal with this challenge of having cane reeds and that cane channel reed, and the fact that they are very temperamental and very sensitive to the moisture content in that cane, in that natural material. So it's been really, really amazing. And I'm just so happy and honored and pleased and grateful to everyone who's using the tone protector. And I hear from people almost every day who just love their tone protectors, and it's helped them enjoy piping more with less messing around with reeds, less time tuning, and just more time playing and practicing and enjoying playing. I was talking to Willie McCallum in January when we were judging together in Kansas City at Winter Storm, and I brought, and Willie's one of the all-time great pipers, great guy, also a teacher and mentor of mine. But I had this theory that I asked Willie about. I said, your generation of players, you guys have all had these incredible careers that have been like 10 or 20 or 25 years longer than the careers of the generation before. And he said that's absolutely true. And he said that he shared a funny story with me. He said that when he was 40, he thought, well, I don't think I'm going to be competing much past 45. And I don't know exactly how old Willie is, but he's well past 45. And he's still playing and competing and playing better than ever. So I asked Willie, I said, I have this theory that I haven't seen anyone talk about, but my theory is that all of this technology in terms of equipment has really helped your generation of pipers extend their careers. So we have I think the big innovations would be the synthetic zipper bags with the moisture control systems, synthetic drone reeds instead of the traditional cane drone reeds. And then someone actually mentioned to me they think the tone protector is right in that category of sort of world-changing innovations for piping. And I was just very flattered to and honored to hear that comment. So, but I said, that's my theory. And he said, that's 100% true. He said that in the old days with sheepskin bags and cane drone reeds and all this temperamental, natural, finicky equipment, he said you could easily spend 4 days of practicing and not actually even play a tune because you're just messing with all your equipment. So he just confirmed to me that, yes, all this amazing technological advances in terms of the equipment of the bagpipes has allowed you to take breaks throughout the year and come back and just sort of hit the ground running and get back to playing. And he also said that your practice time is actually way more efficient and productive because you're not spending all that time messing around with your gear. So that was just a great conversation. And it also just encouraged me that, these innovations that people are coming up with, these products that I've been working on and continue to work on. I have more things that I'm working on right now, that these are important, not just for convenience, but really to help pipers do what they want to do and do more of it, which is practice and play and perform and put out great musical performances. And even with all these innovations, there's still plenty of time and there's still plenty of need to get into the gear and the adjustment and the, sort of the instrument setup side of things. So don't worry, that's never going to go away. If you love to tinker with your equipment, that's definitely always going to be there. I think of it a little bit like how we have athletes now, these professional athletes, and their careers are much, much longer than they used to be. And I think that's because of, better training methods, better safety equipment, like think about American football, you got the better helmets and pads and various braces and stuff. And also just better sort of physical therapy and medical innovations that help people recover from injury better. So pick your sport, whether it's American football or soccer or F1 or golf or whatever, you will see athletes, both men and women, having longer careers. And some of these the all-time greats, they really can have these greatly extended longevity in their career. And I think it's equipment, but I also think it's the ability to recover. And for me, that's kind of like the bagpipes. If you think about the instrument as sort of like part of you and how you perform, these technological innovations in terms of equipment sort of allow you to recover quickly. So I definitely have some more products I'm working on. And thank you to everyone who's using tone protectors. And my new microphone that came out just over a year ago is very quickly catching up with the tone protector in terms of popularity. So thank you to everyone. Thanks for supporting my business. Although I know you're not doing it to support me, you're doing it because these products really work for you. And I hear that every day. So thanks. So I want to get to talking about the future here of bagpipelessons.com and of this YouTube channel. If you've been following my YouTube channel or if you're just new to it, check it out. I've got all kinds of different videos I put on there, and there's all kinds of different topics. Somewhere I have a list of probably a couple hundred ideas for either lessons for my members, topics for one of my live sessions for my inner circle, or for, a video for the YouTube channel. And they pretty much fit into three main categories. And this is a way to sort of think about all the stuff that you need to learn and master if you want to be a piper. One is the fingering. So everything that's related to technique, right? So we have proper form, how you put your hands on the chanter, grace notes, our doublings, our 4-low G bass movements, the burl, crossing noises. So everything that has to do with technique, a lot of that we do on the practice chanter. And that's a really big topic. And I think for a lot of pipers, we spend a huge amount of time on our technique. I will just give you a little hint. I have something that's coming out later this month. I'm recording this in March of 2024, and I have something that's coming out that I'm very excited about later this month. It's going to be a new online course, so check that out. So we got the technique. That's all about the hands and the fingers. We also have the tone side of things. So that is somewhat, a big part of it is equipment and technology. Another big part of it is the skill of the sound production. And there we're talking blowing, right? So it's really a huge thing, and it's unique to the bagpipes. Not the fact that we blow or that we create intonation through blowing, but the blowing and the squeezing and the bag and the blowpipe and the fact that we have 4 different reeds, that is not something you see in other instruments. So it's a huge topic. So for me, if the technique is in the hands and the fingers, the tone is in the body, because it's the lungs and the diaphragm and the cheeks, and your physical stamina, and the arm for the squeezing, right? Also, the tone production side of piping involves all of your equipment. So this is bags, moisture control systems, setup, maintenance, hemping, making sure all your joints are airtight, tuning. Tuning is another skill. And just more equipment, like using my in-tune mic, using my tone protector reed case to protect the humidity levels in your reeds. So we got technique, we got tone. And then if you think about a triangle at the top there, well, this is the musical expression part. Music, that's why we got into this, right? If you're like me, there's something about when you heard the bagpipes, and maybe you were so young you don't even remember. I was like that. I can't remember a time before loving the sound of the bagpipes. I can't remember the first time I heard the pipes, but I just remember being a kid and seeing those pipers and thinking, I want to do this. I don't know why. There's this idea that you don't pick the instrument, that the instrument picks you. And I definitely feel that way. Who knows? Here we are. So, but for most of us, there's something about the sound and something about the music that just grips us. And that was certainly the case with me. So for the musical expression side, here we're talking about your tune selection, your tempo, your expression, your phrasing, your pulsing, your dot cut, the smoothness of your eighth notes in your jigs, getting the right amount of dot and cut in your 6/8 marches. So it's all about the music. And if the technique is in the hands and the tone comes from the body, the music comes from the heart or from the mind. And really, that's the goal there, is that your technique is solid and consistent. Your tone is solid, and you have pipes that are easy to play, that sound good, that stay in tune. And those two things allow you to deliver a musical performance. That's really the goal. So there's these three big areas: technique, tone, and music. If there's a fourth area, I would say, in that fourth category, I would say this is sort of like the performance psychology side of things. And I've made some videos about that. You know, I've definitely done a lot of study and teaching about that over the years. But sort of like how to deal with nerves, how to deal with distractions, and also sort of like how to set goals and how to come up with a practice plan and how to come up with a program that will help you stay on track and stay inspired to help you reach your goals. So it's kind of the big 3 plus 1. So if you look at my YouTube channel, you see I've covered, a lot of these topics, and I've got a list of some videos that I'm going to be putting out. Last year, my goal is to put out a video a month on YouTube. My goal for this year is a video a week. Not quite there yet in 2024, but that's my goal. And one of the things that I've done is I've gotten some help on my team now. Bagpipelessons.com used to be just me and my laptop. It's grown a little bit, and thanks to your support, I've got a little bit of help. And so I can focus on making the lessons, making the tunes, making the products, and then I can get help sort of on the support side of getting these social media posts out there and getting my videos edited. I used to do all the video editing myself, and it's very fun, and I'm very slow at it. So I have some help now on the video editing side of things. And so if you look at the YouTube channel, you see there's a lot more stuff coming out. But check out the channel. Some stuff on reeds, some stuff on the microphone, tone protectors, moisture, setup, maintenance. But also I have some exercises that I've been putting out. I've got a couple from my Power Exercises series. And these are things that you can watch and learn from and also play along with, kind of like a workout video. And I'm going to be doing some more of those. Also, I've done some videos related to musical expression. A popular one is my Amazing Grace video called Amazing Grace is Wrong, which is, it's not actually wrong, but the sheet music that most pipers use is wrong. So it's a sort of an entertaining video there. So I've got a lot of different directions I could go, and I have sort of a strong idea of some of the things that I want to do next. But I would love to hear from you if there's something that you're working on. What are you working on? What are your challenges? What are the videos that you have seen on my channel that you really like, that were really helpful for me? Obviously, I get an idea of the popularity of videos based on views and likes and comments. So that is really, really important. If you like one of my videos, click the like. If you have a question, stick it in the comments. That's really, really helpful. And I know this sounds silly, but it really, really does help if you subscribe to the channel. So just hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. I know I put that in at the end of all my videos. And it seems a bit silly to be asking for that, but it really does help. So if you think about in the old days of TV, network TV, the ratings were really important. And if a show has great ratings, meaning a lot of people watch it, then that show will get continued and will get for another season. But if it doesn't get the views, it gets canceled. So for me, the way that YouTube works is that if you like my video, if you subscribe to my channel, what that ends up doing is YouTube then knows that somebody likes the content enough that they subscribe, and then YouTube is more likely to promote my videos to other pipers. So that's really the goal, is to get the word out there and to continue to be able to provide high quality information and inspiration for pipers. So if you're watching my videos, check it out. Check out the links in the description. I've got free downloads. I've got my information about my membership on there, my Inner Circle membership, but definitely subscribe. I would just say thank you to everyone. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for the comments and the likes. I know you have a lot of options for how you spend your time in your life, and also the way you spend your time when you're looking at stuff online. So I'm very grateful for you every time you watch one of my videos or download one of my free guides or purchase something from my shop. I'm a small business. I'm in my house right now. I don't have a physical location. Family owned, based in the USA, here in Seattle. And because of your support, I've been able to continue to grow and evolve my business, and, get some help from a small team to help to continue to grow and get out this, what I hope is useful content out to you. So check out bagpipelessons.com. If you're looking for some products, check out my shop at bagpipelessons.com/shop. I don't sell a lot of piping products. I only sell products that I really believe in, that I trust, that I like, that I use myself. So bagpipelessons.com/shop. I also have a learn page, bagpipelessons.com/learn. And there's all kinds of great stuff on there. Free guides you can download, links to my videos, blog posts, lots of great free stuff there. And subscribe to my email list, and you'll get updated when I've got new products or new things coming out. Like I said, have something very exciting that's going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks here in March. If you like my videos and my downloads and my free content, consider joining my Inner Circle. You go to bagpipelessons.com/membership. There's an option to pay by the month. You save if you pay by the year. I really put a lot of time into that, and I have some really die-hard, dedicated, wonderful members, and I hope you'll check it out. There's a lot of stuff on the internet. When I started teaching bagpipes online, I was the first person. Many other people doing it now, and that is fantastic to have choices. But if you like what I'm doing and you like this content, you like my delivery, you like my style, join my Inner Circle. We do a live Zoom class almost every week. Now, sometimes I bring in guest instructors, but it's me. I'm not farming it out to other people. And you get to do a Zoom with me and some members. And it's a smaller group because a lot of people watch it on the replay. So you can join me live on Zoom almost every week. And we have all kinds of great different topics that we do. But quite regularly, we do a member video session where you can record a video and we'll watch it and I'll give you feedback, one-on-one feedback. We also do practice channel sessions where we'll work on tunes and exercises and technique and all kinds of other cool topics. So join my Inner Circle at bagpipelessons.com/membership. I got a Facebook group. Look up bagpipelessons.com on Facebook and Instagram. And I recently started up a TikTok channel. I don't really look at TikTok that much, but I'm making short videos that you can find on Instagram and on YouTube Shorts. And we're putting them up on TikTok too, just to try to reach more pipers. So where I can use your help is post a comment. Post a comment on this video. Just introduce yourself. I want you to know that wherever you are in the world, wherever you're watching this video right now, if you're on your phone, if you're commuting somewhere, you're at home, you're at work, you're watching on your laptop, whenever you're watching it, if you're watching it live or 5 years from now, you're not alone. There's a community here, and I would be honored to help you with your piping journey. So check out the website, check out my membership, or just keep following me on YouTube and social media. This is my full-time job. This is my passion. Outside of my family, bagpipes is the number one thing in my life. And I want to say thank you. Let me know how I can help you. And we'll see you next time. That's all for now. Happy piping.